Mastery of attention is not effort. It is not control through force. It is not the constant correction of drift. Mastery of attention is natural remaining. It is the mind established within and no longer leaving. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 112 of 365, to focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of attention, mastery of attention. Pause for a moment. Mastery of attention is not effort. It is not control through force. It is not the constant correction of drift. Mastery of attention is natural remaining. It is the mind established within and no longer leaving. What was once discipline becomes identity. What was once return becomes residence. What was once practice becomes position. Because attention is no longer wandering. Attention is no longer persuaded by appearance. Attention is no longer divided between what is within and what is seen without. Attention now remains where it belongs. This change does not happen suddenly. It is formed through continuity. It is formed through repetition of returning. It is formed through the quiet strengthening of inner position. At first, attention must be guided. Then attention must be corrected. Then attention must be stabilized. But eventually, attention learns. It learns that what is within is primary. It learns that what is physically seen is secondary. It learns that reaction weakens continuity. It learns that remaining strengthens unfolding. And through this learning, it begins to settle not by force, but by understanding. Not by pressure, but by recognition. And what settles remains. Pause. Mastery is the evidence that the mind has accepted truth as its operating position. It no longer experiments with reaction. It no longer drifts toward appearance. It no longer divides its attention between two authorities. There is only one authority now, what is recognized within. And because there is only one authority, there is no confusion. Attention no longer asks, "Should I remain?" It remains. Attention no longer asks, "Is this working?" It knows. Attention no longer looks outward for confirmation. It sustains inward recognition. This is stability at its highest level. And from this stability, power is expressed, because power is not force. Power is continuity without interruption. Power is the ability to remain without being moved. And when attention reaches this level, the mind becomes a clear channel of unfolding. There is no resistance. There is no delay caused by division. There is no interference from reaction. There is only development. Consider this clearly. Everything that unfolds through continuity, and continuity is sustained by attention. So when attention is mastered, continuity is no longer fragile. It is constant. It is no longer something you try to maintain. It is something that maintains itself. This is why mastery changes everything. Because once attention is stable, the entire structure becomes reliable. Thinking no longer breaks. Recognition no longer shifts. Direction no longer changes. And because of this, results are no longer inconsistent. They follow order. They follow structure. They follow what has been continuously nourished within. So mastery of attention is not something you perform. It is something you become. It is not something you apply occasionally. It is how you live continuously. It is not an action. It is a position. And from that position, life begins to reflect order, because what is held steadily within must appear outwardly, and what is no longer interrupted must complete its unfolding. Pause. Mastery is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not struggle to prove itself. It simply remains. And because it remains, it becomes undeniable, not through words, but through expression, not through effort, but through result. Because what is mastered within must be seen without. and what is seen without reflects the continuity that has been sustained within. Let me continue this point. It is not control through force. It is not the constant correction of drift. Mastery of attention is natural remaining. It is the mind established within and no longer leaving. What was once discipline becomes identity. What was once return becomes residence. What was once practice becomes position. Because attention is no longer wandering. Attention is no longer persuaded by appearance. Attention is no longer divided between what is within and what is seen without. Attention now remains where it belongs. Pause. Thought is within. Effect is without. Thinking stands between. Attention, in mastery, no longer abandons the bridge. It does not move back and forth. It does not hesitate. It does not question its position. It remains, and because it remains, thinking becomes continuous without interruption. Because it remains, the seed is constantly nourished. Because it remains, unfolding becomes inevitable. Mastery is not something added. It is something stabilized. The mind no longer needs to be reminded where to look. It knows. The mind no longer needs to be corrected. It remains. Attention determines what is nourished. And in mastery, what is nourished is constant. There is no longer a shift toward reaction. There is no longer a pull toward urgency. And there is no longer a surrender to what is physically seen. The outer world is observed, but it does not govern. Appearance is seen, but it does not direct. Conditions arise, but they do not determine, because attention has become established in origin. This is the completion of the law. Recognition has been stabilized, thinking has been sustained, attention has been disciplined, and now attention is mastered. Mastery means there is no longer an internal argument. There is no longer a negotiation with appearance. There is no longer a question of where attention should be. It is already placed. And because it is already placed, the mind becomes unified. There is no division. There is no conflict. There is no scattering. There is only continuity. And continuity produces unfolding. Unfolding produces physical expression. This is where steadfastness becomes natural. Not enforced, not repeated, but lived. You do not try to remain, you remain. You do not try to focus, you are focused. You do not try to hold the seed, you are with it. This is mastery. The mind has learned, the mind has stabilized, the mind has accepted its true position. And because of this, attention no longer leaves what is within. There will still be movement in the world without. There will still be change. There will still be appearance. But none of it has authority over attention. Because mastery is not the absence of the outer world. It is the stability of the inner position. Attention remains with origin, regardless of what is seen. So today, recognize this. Attention is no longer something you manage. It is where you live. It is your position. It is your residence. It is your authority. And from this position, everything unfolds in order, because what is continuously nourished must strengthen. And what strengthens within must physically express. You are allowing what already is to unfold. Now, the affirmation for day 112. Pause for a moment. My attention is mastered. I do not drift. I do not divide. I do not return, because I no longer leave. I remain with what is within. I remain with origin. I remain with the seed. My attention is steady. My attention is clear. My attention is established. I am not moved by appearance. I am not persuaded by delay. I am not directed by what is physically seen. I live from within. I think from within. I remain from within. And because I remain, thinking is continuous. And because thinking is continuous, unfolding is certain. And what unfolds within must physically express. Remember, by design, by focus.